Hey, what is up guys? It is Dangeles, and this video is going to be all about backyards. So in this video I am going to be showing you guys some sample designs, some backyard designs that I've built in the past, and just try to get you guys inspired on building some backyards in Minecraft. I know a lot of people have a hard time coming up with designs for this stuff, you know, just whether you put like a patio or just stick a pool somewhere. So hopefully in this video I can kind of point you in the right direction and you know, kind of teach you guys, you know, what you can do for particular designs. So the thing about backyards is it's really based on the house. You have to kind of shape it around the theme of the house. So you don't want a backyard for a modern house being the exact same thing as a backyard for a traditional house. And we'll get into some of those ideas in further detail later on. But I'm going to start off with some samples, I'm going to start off with some builds that I've done in the past first, and then we'll move on to some samples. Okay, so our first sample is a traditional mansion that I built several months back. So the idea of this backyard was to have a pool, a pool house, and then just add a lot of greenery. It's just supposed to have like a traditional look that you would find in kind of an everyday American backyard. I know it's a little bit high end, but I think it's pretty standard. That's something that we're going to be kind of showing off a little bit later in further detail. So that's a pretty good start. So this next build is a lot more advanced. This is a Japanese mansion backyard, and the whole theme of this thing is to create kind of like this zen environment, very relaxed, very peaceful. It's got a nice pond, a lot of greenery, trees, Japanese cherry blossom trees all over the place. So again, this is a theme that is really specific to Japanese, and that's kind of the theme I'm trying to get at here, is you want to build things based off the house. So that's our second example, and our third one's coming up right now. Alright, so the last example before we get to some samples is the Italian villa. So this one's pretty simple. Pretty much it has vineyards in the backyard and then a bunch of droopy trees and kind of like this little rugged pathway in between them all. Again, just kind of giving you guys some ideas, some inspiration. The whole point of this video is just to give you guys as much ideas as possible. Okay guys, so now this is going to get to the part where it's a little bit more detailed. So I have two samples for backyards, both on the traditional house to my left and the modern house to my right. I'm going to start off with the traditional house, then we'll circle over to the modern house. So what I'm going to be doing is I already have the backyard samples built. Instead of actually building them on camera and kind of giving you guys a tutorial on how to build the things themselves, I figured it would be a lot smarter for me to just kind of explain them, because a lot of these builds are very self-explanatory and really don't require a lot of explanation to build them. You can really just kind of look at them and just get a general idea of how to make them. It's not like a step-by-step process like a let's build for a house or anything like that. So that's what I'm going to do here. I've already built the two samples, and I'm just going to kind of go through them in a lot of detail and kind of just give you guys every single little piece of inspiration here that you can take to your houses and to your worlds. So we're going to start off. This is just a basic house here. I chose this one just because it's really simple, and all it has is this small patio here, and this is not part of the backyard. So basically what you want to do is just walk down from this patio, and what I've done is I've planted a lot of trees. That's like the first thing you want to do. And I would also recommend making some sort of checklist when it comes to a backyard. So just some of the things that you could check off your list would be a pool, a patio, a grill, tables, lounge chairs, trees, garden, a shed if you have space, a swing set, which is right over there. So, and gardens. I think I said gardens already, but there's a lot of things that you can add to backyards, more than you'd think, instead of just kind of you know, making like a pathway and a pool. You know, I noticed that a lot where people don't put a lot of detail into these things. So again, this isn't the most detailed sample in the world, but this is just, again, just an exhibit. So anyway, going through here, we basically just have this kind of randomly assorted garden design kind of wrapping around the entire deck here, or the entire patio, I guess. And basically it's just a random design of some jungle leaves and some oak leaves. We have a little bit of stained clay in here. I believe that is black and gray stained clay. A couple of dirt blocks kind of spread through here with some wheat and some red flowers, so some roses. So that's something you can add. It just adds a lot of detail to the backyards. I did something very similar to this in the Japanese house, but it's a pretty universal design. It's not just particularly for that theme. But moving on, so another thing I mentioned on the checklist would be a grill. So this is a grill design right here. Again, very simple. Just a couple of furnaces with some detector rails over top of that, and just a couple of stairs on the side. These upside down stairs in the back here are supposed to represent the hood that's kind of lifted up from the grill. So that's just a very simple grill design. That's been around for a couple of years now, so there's nothing too special about that. Moving over here, we have another very simple thing, just a table design. You know, upside down slabs and stairs, and some pressure plates with some flower pots and a little umbrella. So again, a very simple design. You can take a lot of standard things and kind of just put them all together, and it'll create a lot of detail for these kind of backyard spaces. Right here is something that's pretty cool and special to my heart. This is actually one of the first videos I've ever done on my channel. This is a Swingset tutorial I did back in 2013. So this is actually over 2 years old, this particular design, but I still think it's very, very viable, even 2 years later on Minecraft. So here's a Swingset design, and I actually have a link in the description if you want to follow this particular design in depth. It's about a 10-minute video that just takes you right through completing this particular build. So you can check that out. This link is in the description if you want to look at that. Moving on over here is the pool area. So another thing that's very standard, I'm not really sure what the dimensions are on here, but what I'd recommend with pools is that you either want to make them very, very symmetrical and square like this one, or you want to have them go all crazy. So it really depends on the environment, I think. If you have kind of like a, I guess a flat area, like a super flat world like this, I'd recommend just like a symmetrical design like this, and that's what I did. But if you're doing something on maybe like a hill or something like that, it would be pretty cool to have some sort of like wavy pool pattern that I think would be really awesome. And one thing I'd recommend is when you're doing in-ground pools like this, I would kind of stick to traditional houses when doing this. Modern houses aren't really too great for in-ground pools in my personal opinion. And I'm going to go a little bit more in detail in that particular thought once we get over to the modern house backyard. So we also have a hot tub kind of connected off here with a couple of slabs stepping up. So again, just trying to give you guys as much inspiration as possible. Building a backyard is very easy. Coming up with the designs for it is the difficult part. And I just want this video to be your ultimate reference for just coming back and finding some inspiration. So again, we have some deck chairs here, just like some lounge spots and some umbrellas as well. And that pretty much wraps up the backyard sample for a traditional house. So you could take any one of these designs, kind of mix and match them depending on which ones you like, which ones you don't. You can use any kind of blocks you want. You know, the world is your oyster. So let's go ahead and move on to the modern house over here. This one is going to be a little bit simpler, obviously, since it is modern. This has kind of got a sleek, minimalistic look to it. Didn't go too crazy on this one. And basically how this works is you kind of come out from this glass sliding door, and you basically just have a little bit of like a walking space. You know, you can kind of go down these pathways. I guess this could run down to, I don't know, maybe a beach or something like that. If you were to build this on near water, that would be really fantastic looking. And we have basically these artificial trees that I put in. Instead of planting real big trees like we have over on the traditional house, I like to make these small artificial trees with fence posts and just a couple of leaves. I like the way those look. I have them on the front yard as well. And by the way, just to another thing I can reference real quick, both of these houses here have been built on Let's Build, so I will link those in the description as well. If you want to actually build these houses along with the backyards, you can do that also. Again, both the traditional house and this modern house have been built on my channel for tutorial Let's Build, so just keep that in mind. A link is in the description for that as well. So there's a lot of things you can watch for some inspiration, guys. Anyway, coming over here, I just have a couple of little benches here that you can sit on. Some I made out of quartz. And then basically I have kind of these little barriers here. This is just kind of like for your interpretation of what you want this to look like. I just have some little walls of sand stacked, or sorry, this is not sand, this is snow stacked up. And then I have a little bit of a bush behind it. So again, the backyard for the modern house is much more minimalistic and sleek. I really like the way it looks. Again, it's very different from the traditional house. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, it would look very strange if you had a design like that on the back of this house or vice versa. It just wouldn't match, and that is why I really want to emphasize that you want to make sure that the design of the house matches the landscape. That's a very important factor in Minecraft that I think a lot of people overlook. So just letting you guys know, keeping that in your head. And the reason why I don't have a pool back here or a grill or anything like that, again, just for that minimalistic look. But when I'm building modern houses, I like to kind of have the pool, I guess, be an accentuating feature of the house. Like, it needs to be a part of the house, and I'll show you guys an example of that on the screen right now. A pool needs to be kind of part of the house, you know what I mean? Like, I can't just have like a random in-ground pool dug out in the back of a modern house. It just doesn't really make sense. I feel like pools are a lot more important on modern houses, especially because normally in real life they're built in nice weather areas, so you can use them all year round. So that's why I like to kind of keep them as like a part of the house. So if I was going to build a pool on a modern house, I would make it like connected to the house and not just kind of like a little side piece in the backyard, I guess. So I think that's pretty much everything I want to cover in this video, guys. You can also use some of the terraforming tips that I've thrown out there in a video. I'll put that in the link in the description as well if you want to add that to your backyards. And of course, you want to keep in mind the landscape. So if you're building on super flats, this kind of stuff is pretty perfect. And honestly, even if you're not building on super flat, you know, if you're building on the side of a hill, there's a bunch of different things you can do. So I just wanted to give you guys as much inspiration from one video as I could. So hopefully you guys got some. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. It has been Dangeles. If you want to give this video a like or check out some of the other videos I mentioned in this video, that would be great. And subscribe if you're new as well. And that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, everybody. It has been Danlags. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.